Vice News did a really interesting segment on Donald Trump's tariffs. So far, this is the most balanced and objective breakdown that I've seen on this issue. Let's take a look.
This aluminum plant shut its doors in 2016 and 800 people lost their jobs. But now, 2 years later, they're hiring again. And they're citing Donald Trump's trade policy as the reason why. The president can say, to bring industry back and to bring jobs back and bring factories back.
Yeah.
Did you believe him?
I was putting all my eggs in his basket, and I was saying, come on, boy, get her done. And he done exactly what he said he was going to do.
You think that his policies are kind of why you have a job today?
I know it is. I wouldn't have his job if it didn't happen. Wish I could meet him. I'd give him a big old hug.
In the months since the implementation of the tariffs, Mid-Continent has lost 70% of its business, and they're using everything in their power, including calling on the media and calling on their senator, Claire McCaskill, and they're hoping that can save them. Why did it happen so fast?
The customer that buys our product literally could not take the 19% tariff surcharge that we had to apply to the invoice on top of the price that they were already paying us for a made-in-the-USA product.
This is a 3-alarm fire for jobs in our state. A good family company bought this facility, and there is absolutely no reason that they should be forced to lay people off or to go out of business because of tariffs that have been applied in a way that are going to do more damage than they're going to do good.
An hour from here is an aluminum smelter that we visited last month who are hiring a lot of people, and they love these tariffs, and you represent them too.
If we save 300, 400, 500 jobs up the road and we lose 5, 6, 10,000 jobs in Missouri, I'm not sure that overall that's a good thing.
The estimates vary, but all projections come to the same dark conclusion. Tariffs could significantly increase the price of both domestic and foreign goods and lead to significant job loss.
This is the paper tape plant that we shut down 2 weeks ago. One little action, made by our own government, overnight turned our business to a point to where it's what you see today. We're standing inside of a shuttered plant that 2 weeks ago, every machine in here running, and now today, lights off and nothing going on.
So as you guys know, as I've spoken about, time and time again, I'm generally a fan of protectionism. And in fact, I think the only reason why there's now this default acceptance of free trade and almost an embedded assumption in corporate media and in establishment circles that free trade is a good thing is because it benefits business owners. It benefits the elite class. So it's become this, it's a taboo to mention protectionism in a favorable way. But I would submit to you it's also taboo to talk about the welfare state in a favorable way. And I think I've made a very strong case on this show over the years that welfare statism is actually perfectly rational. That, Scandinavian social democracies are effectively welfare states. And they function significantly better than we do and rank objectively better when you go to the studies and look at the different relevant categories like quality of life, like healthcare systems, paid time off, so on and so forth. So I'm not one to just buy into the mainstream media framing, and I think it's healthy to be skeptical of that and to really try to analyze things in a rigorous and objective way. Now, having said that, and still maintaining my position that I think protectionism is overall a good thing, it is now clear to me that the way that Donald Trump is going about implementing these tariffs and embracing protectionism to an extent, it's negative. He's not doing it properly. It's not going to be a net benefit. Now, why do I say that? Not because there are no benefits to it, because as you just saw at the beginning of that clip there, they said the steel industry and the aluminum industry, there's been a net creation of jobs in the U.S. It's not that it won't have any positive effects. In fact, I think it will have many positive effects, particularly for those industries and other industries that may expand as a result of the tariffs, because now we got to make these goods here in the U.S. as opposed to importing them from overseas. That's a good thing for U.S. manufacturing. But they did the math there, and they crunched the numbers, and it turns out that it's a net job loser in these respective states. And they showed the specific numbers on the screen there. So while the way he's going about protectionism helps certain industries, it also massively hurts other industries to the point that there are net job losses as a result of his protectionism policies. So one of the other things I mentioned early on, as I told you guys I generally support protectionism, is that I don't trust Donald Trump to go about it in a reasonable way, because I genuinely don't think he's that smart. He's not a good negotiator or anything like that. The dude went bankrupt 6 different times. I don't think he knows what he's doing, is well-versed in the issues, is willing to be detailed and specific in a breakdown to try to implement the proper policies to help the American people while also not pissing off our allies. In fact, quite the opposite. I think he's going to piss off our allies, and he has pissed off our allies, and he's made it so they do retaliatory tariffs, and it hurts us overall. So I don't think he's going about it in the right way. I think he's going about it in the wrong way, and I'm against what he's doing. So while I still have sympathies to protectionism, and let me be clear, I would 100% renegotiate or pull out of the World Trade Organization, 100% pull out of NAFTA, 100% not have done TPP. Now, he didn't do TPP, but he's trying to slip TPP provisions into the renegotiation of NAFTA. So he's going to do the establishment's bidding come hell or high water. Understand that. But that me saying this does not mean that those things are good and that I now support them. I definitely don't support NAFTA. By the way, permanent normal trade relations with China. Trump often goes after China. Permanent normal trade relations with China has made it so that U.S. workers have lost millions of jobs. So again, it's actually not that Trump is incorrect on the overall point that, hey, America is getting screwed with trade, with shitty trade policies that are biased in favor of the owner class and against the American worker. I actually think he's totally right on that point. But it's how do you fix that? How do you go about fixing that? And what he's doing is not productive because there's a net job loss. And it is leading to a trade war. And there are retaliatory tariffs slapped on us. And overall, it's a net loss. And as a final point, let me just say this. There's one point there, and this is what's annoyed me about the coverage on trade, is that it's like people are playing very loose with the facts, and that annoys me. So, for example, the reason I like this Vice piece is because they admitted up front, well, yeah, some industries are really being helped by this. Aluminum, steel, and some others. And what you see is in establishment media, they don't even mention that part. And that drives me crazy because it's like, why are you not giving the whole picture? You should give the whole picture, not just here's just the parts that make it look bad. Now, again, like I said, I'm against this now because I can do math. I don't have a fucking, cinder block where my head is supposed to be. I see the numbers. And, okay, you're net losing jobs. Got it. Not a good idea. But one part that I didn't like in this was they mentioned, the prices are going to go up for certain goods. Yeah, but why don't you explain the rest of the picture? If this is done properly, sure, prices might go up, but why? Because we're doing more manufacturing in the U.S., which means there are more jobs in the U.S., and there are higher wages in the U.S., because these are manufacturing jobs, which typically pay middle-class wages, and there's union benefits and things of that nature. So when they say stuff like, the price is going to go up for these things, yeah, but so do wages. So would you rather pay a lot less for something made in a fucking Chinese factory with, some pseudo-slave labor, some 13-year-old Chinese boy making whatever you're consuming for 13 cents an hour? Would you rather use that product? Or would you rather use a product made in America, which might cost a little bit more, but as a result of that, American workers are getting a living wage and they have union benefits and they get time off? See, that's the way the economy used to function. Like, okay, we do have reasonable trade barriers, and so it incentivizes manufacturing and business in the U.S., and it disincentivizes the owner class from shipping jobs overseas, screwing American workers so that they get rich and they fucking enslave some poor kid in the third world country. So that's the way it used to be. Now, again, I don't trust the way Trump is doing it, but let's not pretend like, oh, because Trump is bad, that means that the World Trade Organization and permanent normal trade relations with China and our current trade policies are awesome. They most certainly are not that.